Hi guys, my name is Bobby. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm bringing you my January TBR. Sorry it's late. I originally filmed it on New Year's Day in my car. December was a very rough month for my family. My father-in-law passed away on December 20th unexpectedly, so the family's kind of thrown for a loop. So my reading in December really suffered. I only read 2.5 things. And it was just really stressful. And right as Christmas was hitting, we got a whole bunch of snow where I live, which is unusual. We usually don't get a lot of snow here. And I had to work all the way through it. And it was just a mess. I was exhausted. It was like emotionally and physically, it was just a lot. So the end of December, beginning of January is just kind of like, eh. So I'm going to kind of talk about like what I read in December in this video as well, because it's just easier. Because I'm not going to make an entire video for like 1.5 or 2.5 books. It's just kind of silly. And do my January TBR. I mean, I did film it in my car because my husband was stuck at home for a week and a half, and I hate filming when he's here, which is just silly because he's very supportive of me. So I do not understand. Like, he bought me the ring light. He's very supportive of my booktube channel, but I don't know. It's a me thing. It's weird. So yeah, I filmed it in my car. Forgot to do a thumbnail. And it was a mess. So anyways, I think I'm going to do my December wrap up really quickly first, and then we'll move on to what I want to read in January. So in December, I didn't really start reading anything. I was still slumping really bad. And then I picked up on audio, which is the only way you can consume it. Eddie Vedder's, I think it's called I Am Mine. It's an Audible exclusive. It's only like 2 hours long. It was good. I gave it 4 stars. My husband's a really big Pearl Jam fan. I'm a Pearl Jam fan. I've seen them 4 times live. My husband has seen them, I think, like 14. He's obsessed. So when I saw that it was an Audible exclusive and it was part of, like, if you remember, you get it. It's like free to listen. I listened to it. It was easily one sitting. It was good. It was nothing that I hadn't heard before. He talked a little bit about couple of the songs and like writing them, like getting with the band. Like it wasn't very in depth, I guess I should say. It wasn't very in depth at all. It was very much just surface, and then he would sing a song acoustic. So hearing the acoustic songs was good, but I mean, it was okay. It was just listening to Ed talk a little bit and then sing a couple Pearl Jam songs and a couple of his own solo songs, and that was it. Let my husband borrow my Audible account so he could listen. So that was it, 4 stars, just a nice, easy listen. So bouncing off of that, I picked up The Storyteller by Dave Grohl. I am a huge Foo Fighters fan, like huge. And so I had to do the audio because he narrates it. So of course it's funny, it's Dave Grohl. And I only listened to about half of this. It's an autobiography about his life coming up in Washington, D.C., and how he started playing music and how he got in. I think where I left off, he's in Nirvana and just barely in Nirvana. It was right before they were going to record Nevermind. So, I mean, it's all in his own words. It's, he's going to obviously talk about how he made the Foo Fighters and Kurt's death and like all that stuff. I love Dave Grohl. I love the Foo Fighters. I stopped listening to it right around the time my father-in-law died. So I just haven't picked it back up. I plan to, obviously. I paid for it, but I just haven't gotten around to it. And his narration style, and that's another thing. I have to listen to that book on like 1.5 speed. I can't get it up to 2 speed like I usually do, because then it sounds weird and any music they play sounds really distorted. And because the actual artist is narrating the book, like I want to be able to hear it in their own voice like they were speaking to me. So 1.5 speed is about as fast as I can go, where it still sounds like them. And he's got a very nice narration style. It's like you're sitting with an old friend, like out for a beer, and you're just chatting. It's very conversational, and I'm really enjoying it. I just didn't finish it. And then the only other book that I read and finished, picked up on a whim, right at the very end, like I think it was like New Year's Eve, or maybe the 30th. It was towards the end of December, and I was like, okay, I want to try another audiobook. Thrillers tend to work really well for me on audio. So I was like looking through my shelves, and then I got on my library and they had this book on Libby or whatever on audio. So I figured I'd listen to it in one sitting. And it knocked something off my physical shelf, and that's The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. Now, I love Lisa Jewell. This is one of my TBRs since November of 2019. I absolutely love her books, and I know a lot of people have read this and love this, and I figured I'd like it too because I love Lisa Jewell. Lisa Jewell writes very soapy family dramas that are very, very, like, I don't even know another word besides soapy. They're very twisted, and there's always a mystery. It's not really thrilling. Her books are more mysteries, and there's always something they're trying to figure out, usually a deep, dark secret of some kind, but it's always around like family drama and intricacies and stuff like that. This is no different, only this one is a lot darker than the other books of hers that I've read, and it's getting a sequel that's coming out in July of this year. So The Family Upstairs, like, it's hard to talk about because the synopsis is so very vague. I feel like if I go into depth at all, it's kind of spoilery. So what is her name? Libby, I believe. Yes. So Libby is waiting. She's 25 years old, and she knows that she's going to get a letter from this law office on her 25th birthday, and her 25th birthday passes, and a couple days later she gets this letter, and she was adopted when she was younger. And the story goes is that the police came into the house that she was living in. She was an infant, only 10 months old. Both of her parents and some other random person were dead on the floor, and she was in the other room in her crib, unharmed and fine. And so she was adopted out and stuff like that. And she gets a letter when she's 25 from this lawyer firm, or, you know, whatever. And she inherited the house that her parents used to live in and died in. It is now hers. And then the story kind of goes from there. I mean, that's literally the synopsis. That's it. This takes place in the UK, as does all of Lisa Jewell's books. It was so good. It was not like I was expecting at all. I only ended up giving this 4 stars. I didn't give it 5, but it was so twisty turny. This has 3 separate timelines. You have one in the past in like 1988 through like 91, I think, 1 or 2. And then you have 2 present timelines from 2 points of view, Libby and this other woman named Lucy, and you don't know how they tie in until later. I enjoyed it so much. But there's literally nothing more I can say about it without spoiling it, because even one aspect of it would spoil it. It would just spoil it. So, if you have not read Lisa Jewell, I would highly recommend this one, but it's a lot darker than her other ones. So I've been telling people, like, Invisible Girl is a good one to start with, even though it's one of her newer ones, because it's typical to her normal books. This went really dark in a lot of ways. And I guess I could give, like, even giving what are they, trigger warnings could be spoilery, but it's hard because it would be spoilery, and I'm not going to spoil it. So if you want to read it, please do. It's a great Lisa Jewell. It's dark. Just go into it knowing that it's a lot darker than her other ones. If you've read her other ones and you haven't read this one, do. It's just dark, and it didn't bother me. Like, I have very, very little trigger, and it was good. It was just shocking. It went in a direction I didn't think it was gonna go. Okay, that's all I read in December. So now let's get into my January TBR. I'm gonna mood read this month. Reading this entire book in a day. I listened to it all in one day. My only day off last week. In the middle, I worked 11 of 12 days, starting at Christmas Day and ending today, Wednesday, January 5th. So from Christmas Day to now, I worked 11 of those 12 days. So on my only day off in the middle of that, I listened to that all in one day, and I absolutely loved it. So I have already read a book in the month of January. I finished it yesterday, again on audio. I went on my library and started looking for just available now, like sorted by popularity, to see if there was any books that I was interested in reading or that were on my radar that I could listen to. And I found a couple. Listened to one, and I won't talk about it because then it'll spoil January's wrap up, but because hopefully I will have enough books read this month to actually do a wrap up, like a normal wrap up again. But I really enjoyed it. So today I think I'm going to pick, which I don't even know why I'm fucking awake right now. I've been up since 11:30 p.m. last night, and it's, what, 10 now? Yeah, 10 a.m. I worked a graveyard last night. I'm not the least bit tired, so anyway, side tangent. So I have 4 on there. I have 2 thrillers. I have a Mary Kubica and a Ruth Ware that I haven't read. I've been kind of put off on Ruth Ware. I read The Woman in Cabin 10 when it came out. It was a Book of the Month book way back when it came out, when I first started Book of the Month. So when, what, 2017 or something like that? And I enjoyed it. Like, and a lot of people didn't like it because it was like at the beginning and stuff like that, which I have the unpopular opinion where I haven't really liked any of her new things. I hated, what is it, Turn of the Key or something like that. Fucking hated it. It was terrible. Terribly written. Did not like that one at all. Have not read The Death of Mrs. Westaway. And I thought there was one other one that I'm missing. But the one that I got from my library that was available is One by One. So I've heard people say it's pretty good. Mara from Books Like Whoa likes it. She likes those closed circle mysteries. And that's very much this kind of Agatha Christie-esque snowstorm. Everybody's locked in the same building. I tend to like those a lot. So I'm hoping that this one will be a win for me. And it's on audio. It's for my library. I didn't pay anything for it. So that's on there. And then the Mary Kubica is called The Other Misses. So I have that one on Libby as well. And then that I don't even know what it's about. I don't remember. Yeah, it's, you know, The Other Miss is usually something like with a wife and like, or an ex-wife. I don't know. We'll see. Mel in the Discord said that she enjoyed it, so we'll see how it goes. And then the other one I have, Before We Were Yours by Lisa Wingate. This has been on my radar for years. I never bought it. I never got around to reading it. The holds on the library were like atrociously long. And this is a historical fiction. I think it's a general literary fiction about Georgia Tann and the Tennessee Children's Home Society, which fascinates the fuck out of me. I know this is fictional, but, you know, based partly in fact. If you don't know anything about Georgia Tann, I encourage you to Google her. She's a fucked up bitch. I love Unsolved Mysteries. I'm obsessed with it. And they did this whole feature on Georgia Tann in one of the 80s seasons. I can't remember. It, like season 4 or 5. But this bitch would literally steal children and then sell them. She was a baby farmer and pretty much put it off as, you know, like an orphanage. Like she ran an orphanage for unwanted children. But she would literally steal. And with Unsolved Mysteries, like it was a lot of kids who were stolen by Georgia Tann reuniting with their actual family. And there was one story I remember in particular. There was this girl, she's about 2 years old. She was on like a blanket playing in her yard with her siblings running around her. And Georgia Tann, like her car just pulls up. She gets out, walks over, you know, and like tells the girl to come to her and like pulls her into the car and drives away. And because it was like in the 40s, I think it was the 30s and 40s when this was happening, they couldn't really, and maybe the 50s, they couldn't really do anything about it because she had a judge in her pocket, a female judge at that, who would pretty much take the parents' rights away. And these kids would get adopted out, but she was paid thousands of dollars. By the time they nailed her on it, she was already half dead from cancer. I don't remember if it was colon cancer. Either way, the bitch was halfway dead before they even like nailed her. And so it's very sad because a lot of children were stolen and they don't know who their real families are. So this book is about that. And I think it's about 2 sisters who were stolen. I believe they were separated. It's been a long time since I've actually read the synopsis. And it's interested me for a long time. So I think I'm going to try it on audio. Usually, I should be okay with it in that format because right now I don't really want to physically read much of anything. So there was that one. Those are the ones I have so far, plus the other book that I already finished this month. My first read was not a 5-star, it was a 4-star. I mean, still good. So that one I've already returned. So I'm going to go peruse and see if I can find anything else that looks good. Thrillers on audio just seem to really work for me. And I can get through them pretty fast. So we'll see how it goes because I have a hard time finding any of the fantasies except for on Audible. So I try to save like any kind of fantasy for Audible because usually the thrillers I can get pretty quickly through my library. So speaking of thrillers, hopefully I can get this. I might get this on Audible and use one of my Audible credits for it because it's one of my Book of the Month picks. And I'm trying to have a goal this year to where I get through some of my Book of the Month picks. Either donate them and get rid of them or read them. So I want to get to A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. I'm probably going to do this on audio as well. If I can't get it through my library, which so far it doesn't show as it being there, I'm going to get it on Audible. Yeah, this is this is a story about a girl who, while she was growing up when she was younger in Louisiana, there's all these girls that went missing. Her father ended up confessing to it and went to jail for it. And now in present day, she's a psychiatrist. She's trying to get through her life and all that kind of shit. And the murders start happening again, or disappearances start happening again. I think Sarah's already read this and she said she really enjoyed it. So I'm going to try to get to it this month. We'll see. I seem to be starting off on a thriller kick with The Family Upstairs, and the first book in January that I've read was a thriller. So it's been a long time since I've read some thrillers. So maybe January is the month to knock them out. And then the last one that I want to try to get to, but I'm going to be very nice to myself about it, because this book is huge. It is it's like 500 and something pages. The hardcover is anyways, with really, really tiny font and a huge glossary in the back and a big, and a family tree and a list of all these different families in this world. Becca's reading it. Becca in the books. She has to read it this month. It's on her Bookopoly, and a couple of the other people in the Discord are going to try to read it. And that's The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. I know this is a series. It's picking up steam, and a lot of people seem to really enjoy it. My friend Cindy got this for me, and I've had it for a while now, but the first 2 books are free on Kindle Unlimited. So I have Kindle Unlimited, so I figured if I'm struggling to read it physically here, sometimes on my Kindle is a little easier, like if I'm laying in bed in the dark, like give me something to read. But I mean, this font, I don't know if you can see how tiny this font is. It is fucking small, super small. The font is super tiny in this book. So even though it's like 530 pages, it's super tiny. And all I know about this book is about a guy who he grew up in the slums of his world, a thief and a minstrel's son, raised on tales of like dragons and, fairies and like all these like big, huge, like fairy tales, like all the big, huge, grandiose stories we hear as kids. And then, of course, as he gets older, he realizes all of those stories are lies and made up, and that he is meant to destroy the world. Sounds like fun. Count me in. Becca has to read it. So but the only thing that scares me about this one is one of the people in the Discord made a comment that she's read these and likes them, but the first book especially is kind of confusing and hard to get into, which kind of scares me, because fantasy books that are really confusing to start off with, unless I can really get engaged, I usually give up. So I don't think I will be able to listen to this on audio, because I think I'm going to get lost. She said there's quite a bit of characters, and with the glossary in the back and stuff, you kind of need to look at it. So I think I'm just going to read it physically. It'll be like my only physical read for now, if I even get it read. Maybe only get a part of it read and it carries on into February. We'll see. Okay, guys, that's it. Those are the books I kind of tentatively want to read. I'm also leaving myself room to mood read, because mood reading seems to be really working for me, even though I'm not reading as much. The fact that I don't feel the pressure to read certain books, and if I just find something I like and just throw an audiobook on and go, I'm just going to kind of allow myself room to breathe. I'm starting to get the reading bug back, and I want to keep that going. So that's it. That's my January TBR, kind of tentative TBR. Please let me know in the comments down below what you read in December and what you're planning on reading in January. I hope you guys have a Happy New Year. Happy New Year like 5-6 days late, but better late than never, right? And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.